Hello there everybody, Sam Strings here, welcome back to the railway and welcome back to the servicing table with again something a little bit different for you. Now quite a while ago a chap called Alan C asked me if there was any particular method I used to clean up old rolling stock without scrubbing off the transfers, so I thought that might be quite a nice video. So today I'm going to demonstrate what I do with this old LMS coach which is looking a little bit dirty. Now I'm not going to suggest this is the absolutely best way that you can do this, and certainly if you've got a different way that you clean up rolling stock, please let me know down in the comments. However, I have done this for absolutely years, so I can say with a lot of certainty that this doesn't damage rolling stock and it won't scrub off the transfers. Do I recommend doing this with brand new rolling stock with loads of pipework and detail on it? No, probably not. You need to be probably a bit more careful with those. But certainly with these old Hornby coaches and things, that's absolutely fine. Now I'm showing you this with the Hornby LMS coach, that's what it looks like. The same is true for the Southern coaches from this era, the LME Artiques from this era, and quite a lot of others as well. Hornby used this design quite a lot. Now the cleaning part is actually pretty simple. You know, there's not a lot to that. However, obviously if you start adding soap and water to a coach as is, you're going to get water inside and that's going to, you know, turn to condensation over time and probably further down the line mould. So you don't want soggy rolling stock running around the layout. So you've got to take the thing apart so that you can dry it properly afterwards, and also it means you can be more thorough. So let me show you then how you go about dismantling one of these coaches, and I will sort of clean the wheels as well because as you can see these are a little bit dirty. So the first thing I would recommend is just to pop off the bogies. You want to be very, very careful here and ease them off. You should just be able to pop them off there. I wouldn't recommend doing this too often, you know, once to clean it fully is fine, but I don't know how long these clips, you see these clips here, I don't really know what their shelf life is going to be like if you keep popping those off, but certainly once in a while isn't going to hurt. So let me pop off these bogies. There we go, that's the second one, and as you can see this reveals how the coach body, I almost said loco body, is attached. You can see we've got them here. You can see these clips here. Now you need to squeeze these together. Now you can do it with your fingers, but it is a little bit fiddly, so what I use is a small pair of pliers, so I'm going to grab those right now. So the trick here is to be gentle, right, and I've seen some of these coaches which have had these little plastic clips snapped off, and in some cases the lower part of the coach body has been just glued onto the top, which causes problems. Hopefully that won't be the case with this one. So what I'm going to carefully do, you probably won't get a brilliant view of this, but I'll try to show it, is just squeeze these clips very gently. They don't need a lot. And certainly if you're using a big heavy set of pliers you do run the risk of causing damage, but if you're careful it should be okay. So as you saw, no force at all on there, and that should allow you to pop off the bottom of the coach. You might also want to unclip the windows. Yeah, you might want to. So you can see the windows here are clipped under here, so you can just release those, I believe, with a screwdriver. So you want to, it's quite awkward to explain, but you want to keep a tension on it and then just flick these clips out of the way while you're still pulling it. But it's important to get the balance between a good pressure on it and not overdoing it and breaking something. So there you've got the weight, that's the weight for the coach. That can sit inside there, we don't need to do anything with that. So that's the lower chassis. I'm probably not going to clean this today because obviously it's not something that's seen too bad, and anyway it doesn't look too dirty, so I can just put that to one side. And then we've got the coach interior here which should be able to come out. You probably want to be careful with this. So now we should have not too much trouble getting the inner part of this body out. So that's the interior. You need to bear in mind which way the corridor goes. So as you can see, this bit here is the corridor. So I'm going to just hit that right there. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to take out the window piece. And what I'm also going to do, there we go, is I'm going to just grab a Sharpie, right, and on a bit of window that you're not going to see, so just here for example, I'm going to put a little black mark, right, and I'm going to put the same black mark on the inside of the coach, and if that fits inside there, I'm going to put the same black mark just here. And that way we know exactly how the thing goes together when it comes to it. So I'm actually going to be cleaning this bit as well, but I might do that off camera. But now as you can see, we have the body on its own. And if I just slide this out, you can see that you've got the coach ends here. The other one actually popped off, but you've got those for cleaning as well if they're messy. And now what you've got is a coach without any parts. You can access everything on it. There's some sort of weird sticky stuff on the inside, and normally I would recommend you do the next part in a bathroom or something like that, or in your kitchen or whatever, but I'm going to do this one here just for filming purposes, so I'm just going to put a very old towel out just so that you can see it. Now here's what I use for the actual cleaning process. So you need the item of interest, of course, and then I use some regular hand soap, and the trick to using this is it's not too harsh. So obviously if you started putting nail polish remover or IPA onto the bodywork, it could ruin it. This has just got a small amount of detergent in it, but it's not going to strip off your decals. Now what I also use for the scrubbing is an old toothbrush. Now I say old because a new toothbrush, the bristles are going to be quite rough on there, but this has been quite well used. If you're going to use a used toothbrush, obviously do the right thing and sort of, I don't know, clean it up and get rid of any bacteria on it, because we don't want teeth germs on our locomotives and rolling stock. But I've used this toothbrush for quite a long while, just cleaning up rolling stock. So here's what I do. I just put a little bit, I don't use any water, by the way, because that can bring out the oil in the surface of the model if they've been touched for years with fingers. So I just put a little bit of that hand soap on the end of the toothbrush, and then it's just a case of scrubbing. So I'm going to hold the coach securely. We'll start with the roof, and you want to use quite a bit of soap. Don't worry about using too much. You just want a good lather on the top there. As you can see, that is getting quite dirty. You can see it's kind of, got a funny colour to it already. So that's the roof. Now what I would normally do at this stage is rinse the toothbrush and clean it, but because I'm up here in the loft where there isn't a sink, I don't have the luxury of doing that, so I'm going to have to go ahead and carry on cleaning this. But normally at this point I would rinse the toothbrush before you start on the sides, and really this is quite a nice quick way of doing it. Quite messy obviously, but again, if you do this over the sink or the bath or something like that, you won't make any mess. I would recommend doing it over the bath if you've got one, or the shower or whatever, anywhere that you've got access to fast flowing water, which I'll talk about in just a second. Okay, so let's just do the other side, scrub that down, and you're going to see after this that this really does clean them up nicely, and I've done this a lot with Triang locos and things, which have got fingerprints and things on them. But clearly you can see why you wouldn't want to do this with a loco, or modern rolling stock, which have a lot of detail on them, because of course it's going to ruin that detail. But certainly a basic coach like this is looking absolutely fine here. So there we go, I'm going to leave that for just a second. Very briefly, I'm going to do the same with the windows and things. The inside looks absolutely fine, so I'm not going to do that, but I will do it with the windows just so that everything is looking good. So a little bit more soap. And I'm going to be careful with this because it feels a little bit flimsy. Just clean the bits. I'm only going to clean the bits you'll see, but obviously you can be as scrupulous as you want to. There we go. So I'm now going to go downstairs and rinse these two, and I'll come back and talk about rinsing in just a second. So I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so now these are rinsed, and as you can see, this coach body is now looking absolutely brand new, no dirt on it, and as you can see, the decals are still looking absolutely fine on there. So all you need to do with the rinsing is run the body or whatever under fast flowing cold water. Now that's why I recommend you do this over the bath or something like that, because most baths have a lot faster flowing water than sinks do, and the reason you want it fast flowing is because it means you don't have to use any abrasive methods to scrub off the soap. If the water's running fast enough, the force from the water will get rid of all of the soap and the dirt. The reason you want it to be cold is because you don't want the warm water to cause a reaction in the body which might bring out the oil and things in the body. I've done that before with a Britannia model, I think, and because it had years and years of fingerprints and things on it, when I used warm soapy water, it brought all of that out and it made a right mess on the body. So ever since then I've always used cold water. Then once it's rinsed, you want to dab them dry with a towel, a clean towel or something like that. You don't want to wipe because again that can leave marks on the bodywork, but if you just dab it dry nicely, that should do the trick. So now what we're going to do is start to put this thing back together. So let's grab the cradle and put the body in. Now as you can see, if you remember, I put that little mark with the Sharpie on, that's in this corner here, so I'm going to line everything up with that Sharpie mark. Luckily, because it's a Sharpie, it's a permanent marker, none of them have come off despite all of the scrubbing. So now I'm going to put the window piece back in, which again has been well dried, and that's quite crucial. You need all of this to be good and dry before you start putting it back together, but that looks okay to me. And then we'll line up this little black dot here with the rest of them, which goes right there, and that should just sit in there quite nicely. And then the weight goes into place. Ooh, I've got a bit of a soapy splodge on this. That must be where I touched it. Okay, I'll just clean that off. Let's put the weight in here so that I don't have to turn it upside down. There we go, that's the weight. A little note here, I've just forgotten this, but you probably shouldn't. You see the end bits here that we took off earlier? I've just finished the video without those in. I completely forgot about them. So I'm just going to edit this in here. It's quite easy to put them in. You probably want to do it before you start putting the interiors back together. But all you do is you get one of them, make sure it's in the right way, and you just slide it into place like that. It just literally slides down. Once you've got it in your hand, you should see exactly how it goes together. But there we go. So I haven't gone mad. The rest of the video is without those end bits, but don't forget to add them in as I did. That was a bit stupid of me. Anyway, let's carry on. And then the body, we wouldn't call this the body, maybe you'd call it the chassis, I don't know, sits back onto there. You clip everything in, make sure all these clips go in nicely. And then it's just a case of double checking that it's sat down properly onto the body, and I think this has. As you can see, that looks pretty good. And now you can feel free just to pop the bogies back on. Now, as you can see, the bogies on here are a little bit messy. The bogies themselves are alright, there's no hairs on them, but the wheels are looking a little bit dodgy. So if you're not just cleaning the wheels and you want to do a full sort of restore on the coach, you can pop the wheels out like this, and they're all the same, so it doesn't really matter where they came from. You can pop them out. And the reason you pop them out is so that you can get to the axles, the axle boxes, for want of a better term, and you can, whoa, don't drop it, and you can clean them out. So sometimes, for example, you might get hair and dirt inside there, especially with the metal wheels, but if you do it this way, you shouldn't have any trouble. So let me just I'm using the IPA here and the cotton buds just like in the servicing. I'm just going to give all of the bearings / axle boxes a little rub with this. These actually look fine because I do try to clean the wheels, at least once a year or whatever on these, so that's fine, but a lot of the times if it has been well used and it hasn't been cleaned up for many years, you might find a lot more dirt and hair in there than that. Then I'm just going to clean the whatever you'd call them, the spikes which go into the bearings there. Again, they're quite prone to attracting dust and dirt and hair, mainly hair I'd say, but all sorts of stuff really. These are alright, but I've started now, so I might as well finish. And then I would suggest actually cleaning the surface of the wheels after you've put them back onto the chassis, just because it's easier to turn them and everything. So they all look to be in good condition. I'm just going to pop those back in, and there's a bit of a knack to doing this, but the secret is don't ever put too much pressure on them, because it can damage the bogies, and it can even, if it's the wrong kind of wheel, it can even knock them out of gauge if it's quite a modern type of wheel. So definitely you don't want to be doing that. So that's the wheels back in, and then the last step is just going to be to clean them. And as you can see, these are a little bit on the grubby side, so I'm going to clean those up. I'm going to fix that now. There we go. And then of course the last step is to see how it looks on the track. If it doesn't sit properly on the track or something like that, or it looks like there's a bit of a slope going on with the roof, chances are the body might not be on properly, or one of the bogies is backwards or something like that. You just want to do a little bit of a test with it, make sure it performs as it's supposed to, make sure it goes over points, and that will just confirm that all of the wheels are still engaged and everything like that. With these, the wheels are set as they are in, so sort of the gauge problem isn't going to occur with this, but it can do with the more modern coaches. And these are, by the way, the same as the modern Hornby Railroad LMS coaches, I think, so you can expect to get modern wheels on those. So there we go, freshly cleaned, and it is fully dried as well. As you can see, lovely coach without any fingerprints on it. And if I show you the back, there we go. Yeah, you can see, again, really quite nice looking. I've managed to scuff it up already, but the key thing is that all of the decals are intact and it's looking good. So that's what you can do if you've got an old coach that's looking a little bit dirty. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers, everybody.